Pat, I guess we'll address the elephant in the room, so to speak. Has there any suggestion at all that I guess what happened last year is carried over into and is a little bit behind the reason for your slow start this year? Is there any questioning at all or any doubt over that in the last few weeks?
No, not in terms of it carrying over. We won a lot last year and we haven't won yet. So, no, it hasn't. Every season is different. Clearly, we would have liked to have started the season better than we have. We are only one win outside the 8 though.
There's criticism that perhaps the players are satisfied, particularly that next level down players that won a premiership now they sort of feel content. Is that how you feel at the moment? Is there a feeling about that?
No, like my experience in Geelong, and I think it's been Geelong's experience for a long time, complacency has never been an issue for the club. It's been uber successful for a long period. So we've had a lot of change from last year, so there's a huge amount of hunger. The challenge we've got at the moment is the confidence, and that's clear for any team that struggles with consistency and struggles with wins, and at the moment we haven't won any games. So confidence is a funny thing in our sport, and I think the key is not to search for the outcome and spend too much time on the outcome, which are the wins and losses. It's the process that underpins the reason that you win and lose. So we've got to make sure that we keep looking at that and not just lassoing ourselves to the wins and losses column. It's the process that underpins it.
How far away do you think you are from clicking that process then?
Well, it's not clicking your fingers. That's the tough part. We've found ourselves in games where it's been really tight and the opportunity is there to win, and it feels like there's a level of frustration within the group that we should be playing better. But this is a tough competition, regardless of who you play out of any of the other 17 teams. So that's our challenge, to remain focused on process regardless of the situation that any game provides for us. So that for us will be front of mind. It has been over the past week, and we didn't play the way that we would have liked. We didn't get the result that we would have liked, but I felt like we're starting to just turn some things around our process that are important. And if we continue with that, then the results will come, but it isn't going to be an overnight success.
Is there, well, I know that you've sort of got no margin for error now, given you're sort of already chasing the pack?
Yeah, we've only got 20 games to make it up, I suppose.
A lot of things haven't been going as well, obviously, as you'd like in a lot of areas of the ground. So what are you focused on to get back in there?
Yeah, you're spot on, Pete. Yeah, it's been a collective measure, I suppose. It hasn't just been one area that's let us down. It's been sort of overarching, forwards, mids and defence. So there's areas right through all of that we can tinker and improve. And it only takes a little to get things rolling. I think the important thing is that we've been in every game that we've played in. We haven't been blown off the park. So there's subtle adjustments, and there's times in games around execution where we just haven't been where we'd like to be. So I think it'd be a different vibe had we been absolutely smoked in every game that we've played. That hasn't been the case, but the disappointment, I suppose, is the fact that we've been in games and we haven't been able to execute the way that we'd like. So the challenge for us is, when we're next in that position, is to execute. Is to play the game in our forward half. It's an old age, and it's the same thing every team will talk about. But if you can play your game style longer than your opposition, you give yourself a good chance to win the game.
So there's no alarm bells just yet?
That's a good headline that you'll go with this afternoon, I'm sure.
Last year you had the opportunity to be able to rest players throughout the course of the season and give everyone the greatest opportunity to be firing at the end of the season. This year, do you feel like you have that opportunity to be able to rest players throughout the course of the season?
It wasn't necessarily resting players, it's more about preparing them as best we possibly can, and every individual circumstance is different. Every role within the team is different. There's some positions that are harder to replace than others. So, we take that with every individual case, it is different. So it's not something that, as a player, we focus on. That's more the medical side of the football club that deals with that, and then their recommendations go towards footy, and sometimes they line up and they work, and sometimes it doesn't, and there's other things to prioritise.
Obviously, obviously Tom Hawthorn sort of fits into that bracket in terms of his management and how he's come back from that injury. I mean, I know you don't make a call on his fitness and how he's prepared and everything, but do you think it'd be worthy just to go back, get some confidence just on a training track, or however it is, in keeping him going the way it is, or are you going to sort of stick with the process we're talking about?
We haven't helped Hawk at all with the way that we've moved the footy. That part is really, really clear. So as a forward, so much of what you do, you're reliant upon the movement up the field, and we haven't helped him at all. So the responsibility, it certainly isn't just Tom's, it isn't just our forwards, it's our midfield and the way that we use the ball. So yeah, we can help him a heck of a lot more than what we have so far. But what I will say around what Tom's come back from, it's a significant injury and it's going to take time. It's not just click your fingers and he'll be back in the form that we know he'll reach soon. It takes some time, but what can help that is our method and the way that we bring the ball forward and how we help our forwards. So it's a two-way street there, I think.
In hindsight, did he perhaps come back a little bit too early? Didn't get a whole lot of training before that round 1 match?
No, I don't think so. He's an integral part to the way that we shape up and the way that we structure up, and to how he manipulates the opposition, because he's such a focal point for us. He's a huge focus for every opposition that we ever play. So I've got huge confidence in the big fella, and we can help him there as well.
How have you assessed your own start to the season?
Oh, there's plenty of room for improvement, and I think that echoes throughout our group. So it's taking accountability for that, and then it's getting to work. And it's not something that happens overnight, but we're still working hard.
The added pressure of being captain this season, is that something that you felt to start the year?
No.
What's your approach, Patrick?
It's still remained, and to remain, positive, Pete. That's a really important part, I think, in any form of leadership. It isn't all doomsday. Absolutely, there's things that we need to improve and can improve quickly, but it's still to reinforce the positive parts of our game. The challenge is finding at the moment there's more negative than there is positive, but I've played the game for 16 years and we've got a lot of experience in the group that have played similar. These things can turn quickly, but it's not a matter of simply saying it'll turn. It's being in a hurry to make sure that happens sooner rather than later.
I think last year you were 5-4 maybe, so I mean, everyone looked at Melbourne last year and they were flying and they dropped off, and as you said, it can change quickly. But is there is there a sense that you need to recapture a different style of footy this year, or how do you think you can recapture your best footy when teams have maybe started to negate what you did so well last year?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big part of it. Around the time that every team puts into their opposition, it sort of loops back to executing your game plan longer than the opposition. And at the moment, we just haven't been able to play the game on our terms for long enough periods, and for the important periods of games where it's been really tight, and then we just haven't been able to execute in those later stages in quarters where teams have kicked goals and all of a sudden margins have reduced. That was sort of round 1, and then it's stemming the flow once oppositions get a run on, which is a lot harder in the game now because of your inability obviously to put numbers behind the ball. So we've got to be better around it to give our forwards a chance, but there's so many interlinking parts to that that are subtle shifts that we need to make that can make a significant difference to the way that we play and the output that we give. So that's why I'm really optimistic with what we can do, because it isn't far away. We just need to make sure we get it rolling sooner rather than later.
How big an impact is having 3 new guys in the club, Ollie and Tanner and Jack?
Yeah, it's significant. It's probably the biggest challenge for us has been just the experience out of half back. That's been clear, and then obviously Stewie going down in round one, and they're pretty experienced players. So those things take time. That cohesion takes time, but you've got to put in the groundwork in order to get the benefits from it. So we're in a bit of that teething process at the moment where we have new players coming in that are finding out how they fit in the way that we play, and we've got to make sure that they can flourish and bring their own individual game style and pizzazz and help to improve it. So there's little parts there we can help each other with, I think, at the moment. Easter
Monday is obviously a big fixture on the calendar. Is there added pressure going into it 0-3 and knowing that it's almost a must win?
I think there's no doubt that's a part of it, but you can't constantly think about what's happened. That's really irrelevant. But does it affect your mindset? There's no doubt it's more challenging when you've got no wins on the board and other teams have a few. But you have to revert back to the process that underpins individual and collective success. And that's what pros do. And we've got a building full of them. So more pressure, perhaps, but pressure makes diamonds.
And Hawthorn, a very young side, but a lot of inexperience through there. Is there sort of a bit of confidence in the group despite a slow start to the season that can notch your first win?
You're dancing with the devil if you ever have that view, I think, around using that as a way to build confidence. They're a hungry team. They've got players that are more than capable, as we do, and these games always seem to bring about a really healthy contest and one that's tight. So for us, we need to focus on what we're doing. We'll quite clearly preview how they play, and then for us it's around playing our game and our style for longer periods in the opposition.
You mentioned the missing experience off that half-back flank. Obviously, Mitch Duncan's been out to start the season. Is he any closer to a return? Obviously, he's had his own injury problems in the pre-season.
Yeah, he's getting closer, certainly. I think certainly from watching, he's sort of been that 10, 11K mark the last few weeks. So whether he plays this week, I'm not certain, to be honest. But he'll be around the mark, I dare say. So we're quite clearly a better team with Mitch Duncan in it, but we also don't want to rush him back. We want to make sure that when he does come back that he's fit and firing and will be able to play out the season.
And Tommy Stewart obviously surprised a lot of people with his 1 week off from what seemed to be a slightly more significant knee injury. How's he feeling after the game, and in terms of that recovery process, how easily did he come back from it?
Yeah, no, he recovered pretty well, I think. I think that'll be an ongoing sort of maintenance thing over the next couple of months with MCLs, with how they are and how they can be aggravated at times. But he seems to have recovered really well. It's obviously early in the week for us. We don't play till Monday, so I thought he was really impressive in his first game back after what was pretty significant knee injury. So he'll only be better for it.